Hello, my name is Shulamit, and I'm the creator of the MetaSounds process. Every Sunday at noon, I host a Zoom meeting for us to explore wisdom teachings and experience the healing power of MetaSounds. These meetings are made possible by generous donors. Please help this site thrive by liking and subscribing, and please join our newsletter at greatoctave.com to receive notices of our events. Good morning, good afternoon. Welcome, everybody. This afternoon, we're back to the perennial discussion about change and how to adapt to it. We're all well aware of artificial intelligence. We hear about it and we read about it, and we are beginning, even more than beginning, to feel its effects. So, for example, AI is responsible for these driverless autos or driverless trucks. It helps with writing. ChatGPT, I use it to edit my material. It does a really fabulous job in a very short space of time. And when you deal with these large companies, if you're ordering from Amazon or any other company like that, you're going to be dealing with AI, either through the chat section that they offer, or if you have complaints and so on. And to some degree, it's helpful, and to some degree, it's really annoying because you can't ever give it any nuance, It can't handle nuance. It only can handle straightforward questions. But I'm sure that will change. It gets better and better and better. And then there are a lot of implications. For example, college students, apparently it's been reported that younger, new college students or whatever are using it all the time, right? To write their papers, to do all their research, to calculate all their problems and whatever. So it's really bypassing traditional education, and it's an issue, right? It has to be dealt with. It's early on, so I don't think people are quite sure about what to make of it. But artificial intelligence is a specific term for that which is where the system is applied to a very specific issue. There's something called artificial general intelligence, called AGI, which some of the people out in Silicon Valley are predicting will happen quite soon. You don't have to believe them. They could be wrong. But this type of artificial intelligence will be able to do any, or maybe not any, but a lot of human tasks. A lot of human tasks. Solving problems, delivering answers that better than we can, possibly, I don't know. In some cases, the applications are excellent because they can help in medical diagnostics and freeing up, theoretically, the doctors to do more treatment or interpretive work or whatever. But what is clear, or at least what's being talked about, is that the world that we're entering into in the very near future, I don't know if it'd be 2030 or 2050 or whatever, but in the very near future, will be so radically different than the world that we inhabit now that it'll be really, I can't say what it'll be because I have no idea. I could imagine, but it will be radically different. Just think of, in terms of soldiers, this is happening right now. Soldiering armies, there used to be such things as heroes and people going to the battlefield and, using their intelligence or their strategies to overcome the enemy. Well, now there's some guys who sit in New Jersey in an air-conditioned room and conduct drones. All this stuff that I thought was so silly about the Terminator with Arnold Schwarzenegger back in the 80s or whatever. This is happening. So what does it mean with the possibility that everything is overturned, that our jobs can be done by artificial intelligence, that we become obsolete, that we lose our income we not only lose our income, we lose our identity, we lose our position, and people at the top, the people who have created these, may prosper and become even more wealthy or accrue great wealth to themselves, where outside of these areas, these enclaves, will be the starving masses, which might be us, you know? So that's one possibility. I'm not sure it's definitely going to happen, because there have been other changes throughout history in which the economics of people's lives has changed and people have adjusted with a little bit of time. But I think it raises extraordinary questions, which I think we can deal with. What if everything that you prepared for, everything that you've built, either through your education, your skill, your training, your housing, the way you raise your children, or you deal with your friends or whatever, what if that all shifts? What if there's nothing to stand on anymore? What do you stand on? So it's a question of what you can either what you believe, or what you have faith in, or what you place the quality of your life, how you handle it, how you perceive yourself. If you are completely materially oriented, and your life consists of, and I'm not degrading this is fine, the pleasures of friendship and love and family and work accomplishments, and and collection of goods, and being able to go on a nice holiday and nice vacations and whatever. If you put your faith in that as the meaning of your life, you might be in for well, we're all in for trouble, but you're going to be in for a lot more trouble. What is behind everything that exists? What is it that we can believe in? Are we just material? Are we just bodies that when we decompose, that's it? The fact that we've lived is completely meaningless. Nobody remembers who the hell we are except our, immediate descendants or friends for a few years, and then they forget. And we're nothing. We're dust, whatever. And perhaps that's true. I'm not coming from a place of saying I know exactly what happens. However, I do believe in forces greater than myself. I do believe that I am connected to a greater reality. I believe that I have a purpose. I believe that I've been put here for a purpose, and I try to live in accordance with that, at the same time that, just like everybody else, I have the same pulls, the same challenges, the same attractions that the material world has to offer, going on at the same time at whatever level I'm living spiritually. But the question is this. Many people say they have belief, and they mouth the words, but truly they don't really. If you ask them, they say maybe. I mean, if they're really honest, like maybe there is something, maybe there isn't something. I don't know. But they're not living in the sense for what comes after here. What if everything that we did here carried us into the next life, whether it's karmically, into another body or into the afterlife or whatever? But what if that was true? What if how we conducted ourselves, how we cultivated our mentality actually mattered not only for this time, but for the time that follows into the unknown? What if we've got it all wrong, that the things that we devote our life to, and the struggle and the pain and the confusion and the fear and the joy and the pleasures and the fun and all the rest of it, really is extremely temporary. It doesn't bring permanent happiness or even meaning. What if we've got it wrong? Now, some of us are gifted in the sense that we die in our beds, surrounded by our loved ones, and we look at our lives and we can say, we did this and we did that, and we feel good about it. I'm not talking about the things that we did wrong because everybody does something wrong, right? Everybody does that. But we try to live a life in accordance with certain moral values, free of hatred, and understanding that we have to move toward a certain deeper connection which sustains us. The question becomes for a lot of us, well, okay, let's assume that there might be an organizing principle behind the universe. Let's assume that there might be a God. Let's assume that there might be rules. Let's assume all that. How can we feel that? How can we live our life in the presence of that instead of who likes us and who doesn't like us, and our failures and our successes, and how we look, and our body image, and how can we live in that deeper place? Because it's not enough for somebody to say to you, believe. It doesn't work. I mean, I had a religious education, and you know, not only are rules described to you, but the whole cosmos is described to you, which you are expected to swallow that description and accept it and live it. And sometimes that description allows you to live a very full and loving life, and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it fills you with anger and hatred and does its opposite. We can see this in our daily lives and this time that we're living in. So how do you do it? And it's work. I mean, sometimes you can get a revelation and it comes all of a sudden and you see the truth of things and then you try to live in accordance with that. But really it's work. It's deciding that you want something deeper, that you want something more stable, especially in an unstable world, especially in a time where the things that you've taught to rely on will not sustain you. They will not hold up. And for that, you have to dedicate yourself. And on a daily basis, just the way you dedicated yourself to learning whatever skill, whatever profession that you learned. You put days and weeks and hours and months and years into it. And this is no different, because anything that's worthwhile doing is worthwhile working for on a consistent basis. And what is the consistency? Well, one of them is meditation, which also could include prayer, and people who pray every day. It's a similar idea. It's a meditation. It's a remembering. With meditation, which clears and settles your mind, you actually can feel the presence of something greater than yourself, something so pleasant, so sweet, that you want to feel it again and again and again and again. And it's elusive. Some days you feel it, some days you don't, right? So you have to stick with it. And after a while, it does begin to infuse you in a way that your belief is not something you just talk about, but something that you live. The second thing is self-knowledge, and you cannot overrate this. I mean, this is so important. We are so filled with stories about ourselves that are, well, they satisfy the society we live in, they satisfy the narrative of the society we live in, and they're to some degree stories, right? Myths, lies, untruths. It's very helpful to learn who you are. Now, a lot of people are afraid of this because they're afraid that they're really terrible. But for the most part, you're not. For the most part, you will just discover who you are on a more deep basis, who you really are, not what you try to do to satisfy other people or other stories. There's a lot of beauty and richness in life, even in times of extreme difficulty. And to find that, you have to find faith. Faith does not have to be my faith, and it doesn't have to be a faith in a specific deity, or it can be in the awesomeness of the world and in the natural world, etc. I mean, there are many, many ways of worship. But worship is a sense of awe. In that scheme of things, you're not the main character. You're a humble being here for a short time for a specific purpose. And one of those purposes is awakening. So I leave you with that thought and tell you that you can, if it's something that's eluding you, you can find it. You can find it. And remember that people, when they describe their religions and so forth, are coming from an ethical sense, which is good, a sense of what the laws are of the universe, which is good, but they also can get trapped in that and distort the true teachings. You know, from the time of the true teacher to his disciples, and from the disciples to a larger discipleship, a lot is lost. But you have great power to regain the essence of it. So what I'm going to do now is make sounds for you. Okay. Everybody ready? Thank you for joining me today and being part of our community. I invite you to join us every Sunday at noon Eastern Time for the full live experience. Wishing you a wonderful week, and I look forward to connecting with you soon. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Visit greatoctave.com for more details about these webcasts, our newsletter, donations, and more.